Welcome back to the Arbitrage Run show with your host Donkey Teeth and Kevin from Arbitrage Racing. What's happening, man?
Hello. How you doing?
Good. We got an exciting new kind of show format here to introduce this week. The bulk of this show is going to be about a new stable, and some people kind of have asked you to do something like this, and questioned if you'd be able to build a stable from scratch in the current environment, which of course is going to be a lot harder than it was when we started playing this game. But that's kind of it's going to be a recurring show. Maybe I'll record some episodes when we have updates, short episodes updating on this stable. But the premise is building a stable with a budget, 1 Ethereum. And right now, if you're watching this way in the future, Ethereum price is like $1,900. So yeah, that's the premise of this show. I think it's going to be fun. We'll see. This is going to be a unique challenge, especially because I'm going to kind of take on the day-to-day operations. You're going to be more consulting and advising me on the right moves to make. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging with me in the driver's seat versus you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it play out, especially when you're doing all the work and I just kind of tell you what to do when you ask questions. So I like my role in this for sure. But you're right. We got this question so often. And I mean, for a while, you and I had no extra capacity when it came to ZED, right? Like our wives were already yelling at us. We were doing it too much. So now I guess one pro of aging and not quite the amount of daily volume as there was, we can pick up something like this, try to find some steals on the market. And I think we're going to talk through a few of our recent purchases. I know I had to kind of dial you back on buying some skins and things. Like if we're doing 1 ETH, we got to keep it lean, only stuff that's going to provide ROI to us.
But I bought the skins. They're not being included. Yeah. The horses got to look good out there. I mean, part of this is just for fun, like I saw some horses pop up that seemed like no-brainer buys, and they don't necessarily have a great spot in our stable. I mean, they would be useful, but like there's a lot of overlap, right? So it just kind of made sense to play out this way. We saw value in these horses, and I think it's a fun experiment, and just having a little bit of fun here. I think the community will enjoy it too, and they can kind of watch around as it grows. Maybe it'll be an epic fail. We'll see. I mean, I do think there's some risk in the path that I've chosen to build this stable. We'll talk about that too. But before we do dive in deeper on that, we do have a little bit of administrative stuff. Well, we got to talk about the big news that was released. The $140,000 worth of 3.0 only tournaments that are coming up over the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to release the show on Sunday night in the US, we decided. So they'll be starting like right when we release this. We're recording it on Saturday afternoon, where you and I are. A little bit of busy week coming up next week. So this will be the show for that week. And then we'll get back to, I think, hopefully our regularly scheduled Thursday shows the following week, right?
Yep, that's the plan.
So we're going to talk about the $140,000 worth of tournaments. Exciting news there. We're going to talk briefly about the paid XP tournaments, because we've been having fun with those. They seem to be popping off. We'll see if it's sustainable, right? And then we're also going to do the wheel spin for our maiden giveaway. So if you want to skip forward to, I'll put a timestamp in the description of this show. If you want to skip all of that stuff and just get to us building the stable on the 1 ETH budget, I'll put the time that starts in the description on YouTube. So Kevin, without further ado, this $140,000 announcement is pretty exciting, right? I mean, people were kind of speculating that ZED was totally out of money. So I think that's kind of the big takeaway, is that they're not.
Yeah, I think this is them sticking to a plan they gave a few months back, where they were like, we're gonna work on rolling out aging and XP, things like that, and then we have this treasury set aside that we are gonna start unleashing in Q2. So looks like you're sticking to that. I know there's some skepticism just because a lot of people have trust issues when it comes to ZED, but they're sticking to the plan in this aspect, and I think it's a smart first allocation of funds, giving it essentially only to the 3.0s, because you have to return value to the newly bred horses in some way, and this is the most direct way to do it. I know we're going to get in a little more detail of the different types of tournaments, but I think they have a good variety of frees, paids, rewarding different places. So it should be fun for a lot of different types of horses.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the nail on the head. Like, I know that somebody's always going to be unhappy with the format, right? Even though it seems like there's not a whole lot of unhappiness with it. Like, people are just happy that something is happening. But Genesis are getting kind of boxed out. Of course, nobody's going to feel bad for our Monster 1.0s and anybody else's Monster 1.0s not getting fed by this. But I guess the 2.0s, I mean, the really good 2.0s have had their time in the sun too. So I do agree that it's nice to throw these 3.0s that are just kind of getting cast aside, especially like it's interesting. We have a ton of these 3.0s, and I think a lot of them have really good traits. But like we've said before, we've been had to focus on our top end and kind of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Leveling those up, and like there's only so much time for a stable like us, and I think that there's other stables that have been operating similarly. So this is going to end up, I think, spreading out the wealth quite a bit to some smaller stables that have had more time for these 3.0s that they've bred and run them up into the high 590s and even 600s, right?
Yeah, and more power to those stables. I think that'll be great for them to finally be rewarded for the grind, because it's definitely not a largely profitable grind for any 3.0 at this point on the way up to the level 600 plus. So if they suffer through that and have enjoyed doing it, they are about to reap the benefits in a big way going up against that. So especially in Class 1, I know Class 1 is kind of an animal of its own. We'll see how they split out the prize pools across classes. I don't think that's out as of our recording, but that'll be interesting to see, because you are going to see some overpowered horses in Class 1, but they've paid their dues getting there. So I think
that
or
they hit the lottery on the super breed, which
right.
we've got one Monster 3.0, right? Super seed. So we will have one horse representing in Class 1. Hopefully it doesn't get totally unlucky, but yeah, it's gonna be fun for people that did have super breeds
There's a
run
few
it.
like I think, was it Dashing Double? I think is one that is just grinded all the way up to, it might be like 630 now. That was one of those first 3.0 horses that was bugged and I think popped out in like the high 500s and then got debugged back into lower Class 1. But it's been grinded like crazy. So that's going to be fun to see that dominate.
Yeah. So, I mean, we won't spend too much time on this since we do want to spend the bulk of the show talking about this new stable that we're building. But you can go check out the tournament schedule. I guess a small tangent here, like this is the type of stuff that ZED really needs to figure out how to get this tournament schedule and the details in like an easily viewable format on the site, right? Like, I don't know how that's done, like some sort of pop out or something like that, where you can see here's the next 2 week schedule, and like you shouldn't have to go dig through Discord and click a link to get over to this archaic guide type stuff. Like so many of those little things on the ZED UI are really holding this game back, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you feel like you're digging through like a manual or like terms and conditions just to find. It feels like this is very updated, but if I were a new user, this feels like something that had been archived for like a year, right? Like I would never expect to see breaking news in this format. They've got a little better in terms of when tournaments are actually happening, where you can at least click the banner and see what the scoring is if you can decipher their language. It still bugs me to no end. They don't like sort the toggle at all, right? Like you're sifting through different tournaments and it's like, this one's Class 1, now you're Class 4, Class 3, this one's paid, this one's free. It's just completely random. I'm like, why can't we not just like do all Class 1s and then like, or all pays and group them that way? That's a pet peeve of mine because I'm always looking at the tournament results.
I mean, and you're somebody that has played every day for 2 years, imagine a new person coming in and trying to figure this stuff out. It's like, this is not going to work. So we need to figure this stuff out, guys. But hey, we've got the tournaments. Let's focus on the positives here. And actually, this format is better than it was to read it. So you can kind of scroll through and look at each tournament. I think it's a pretty good mix, Kevin. I think the first week is one of the weeks is 4 paid and 3 free. So you need to either, like this first one, this Fibonacci is free races to qualify. And I think that there's 3 the first week.
Right.
And then the second week there's 4. Yeah. And then so this first week there's 4 paid, which you see the second day is free. Here, yeah, you got to race paid here to qualify for ones like this 1v1. Pretty good mix of different formats. We got 1v1, we got double ups, we got, I think there was winner take all in here, top 3. The prize pools grow as the week goes on to this weekly finale, which for the first week is free racing. That's cool. There's a mix of distances. It seems like 1400, 2000, 2600 got kind of left out in the cold here. There was like only one of the 14 at that distance for some reason. I don't know. Is there any rationale behind that? Can you think, Kevin?
I think they just feel like 2600 is broken for marathoners, but in theory, like it shouldn't be with 3.0. They've already addressed that, but I think they're probably programmed to like, all right, that's an extreme. It's not symmetrical. Let's just minimize how often we do that.
So, yeah, it seems like a lot of them are this 1200, 1824, which is it's just a fair compromise. And a lot of these 3.0s, like there's still a lot of discovery to do on distance preference, right? Because very rarely, I guess there were the 3.0 only races and the maidens where you could kind of start to discover them. But yeah, I think that this is a reasonable mix, don't you?
Yeah, the 1v1 is going to be utter chaos when it comes to qualifying, right? Like think about how difficult it is to enter a race sometimes when it's like a 6-gate free or whatever. And this is just going to be popping in and out. You're going to get so many errors unless they've addressed that. So just start bracing yourself now for the chaos of that. And hopefully there's no users who abuse that and try to kind of double enter and stack a race to where they can farm the results to their horse that they want to win. I think they'll be filling so quickly it'll be tough to do that, but Zed needs to be on the watch out for that.
Yeah, agreed. And then here is week 2. This is the schedule for week 2. So there's separate pages for each of these. There's a class 1 premiere. I haven't looked too in depth. Oh, this one's 3 days, Kevin. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's going to be, I think that might be them. I think it might be skewed more towards class 1 not getting a ton in the other tournaments or not getting like ramped up. And then they're saying, well, we're throwing you a bone with this C1 premiere. Dashing double, go clean up, pretty much.
It's going to be fun. Okay, anything else on this, Kevin?
No, excited. It's back. Everybody likes free money. Although people would say it's not actually free money. It's money we've given them.
We've all contributed, yes.
But, I mean, the nature of this is really interesting where by making it 3.0, it does soften the competition quite a bit, get some new horses as winners, and suddenly it's a little more enticing to breed like for this tournament. Maybe you don't have to wait for that maiden to come out, because if you get lucky and land a 490 or a 390, like it can play right away. And a lot of these are just free roll tournaments. Like that's very enticing. And I know we were talking about whether we wanted to go ahead and breed and race some for this as well. And we'll probably do a combination of both.
Yeah, well, and also we should mention, we like when the announcement came out, we went out and bought 8 horses that were, I mean, most of them were like dirt cheap, like 0.01 to 0.03 type range. I think we spent 0.15 on that one that's like a 555 with nice variants. Fagiano, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah, we throwing darts out there, right? I mean, there's so much money to be had here that 0.01 is nothing when you're going to be potentially winning like $1,000 from a tournament or something like that. So you don't have to, you just got to get lucky once really with a lot of that. And I think we made some educated buys for the prices. And yeah, that will not be in our 1 ETH stable. This is kind of for the main. I guess we could have started a different stable with that, but sorry.
A lot of different ways to play this game on a budget, which we'll get to. Real quick, Kevin, the XP paid tournaments, we kind of talked about that on the live stream last week when we were doing the auction, but they have turned out to be a lot of fun, haven't they?
They have, and like it's because they reward a ton of XP, right? And like that's the whole thing. Is it needs to feel like people have differing opinions about XP. I think XP in like very minor forms doesn't feel like much of a reward. Like you're not actually winning money doing that. But when it's XP that levels you like 8 levels instantly, and you see yourself passing a bunch of horses that normally beat you, that actually like is deferred ROI by getting ahead of those horses in levels. So like it absolutely is a reward. And I think they've erred on the side of being like super robust with the amount they're giving out, which has then incentivized more and more people to try these qualifiers, and indirectly stimulated the 1.0s almost a little bit, because those are the types that dominate these winner take alls. So yeah, 3.0s are getting this, but the XP tournament is more of a 1.0, even 2.0 type tournament.
Well, and yeah, it really accelerates the aging process on those horses too, which I think is a big plus. Like we're using all of the stamina on our horses here like all week.
Yeah.
We're going to get there a lot quicker than we would have otherwise, right?
To 700 and just I guess aging round 2.
We could talk so much about so many different topics on this show, but like, there's a segment of the community that feels like, well, a couple things on XP, like it's worthless to level horses, and I think that this is an interesting conversation too, because like it actually is on a lot of horses, at least right now. We don't know like what opportunity there is going to be to race these horses level down the road. If you've got like a low variance horse, like, yeah, there could be a huge advantage to leveling up this horse that looks like glue right now to a very high level based on what tournaments there exist down the line. Right now, it does seem futile. And then you've got all the other really good horses leveling just as fast or faster because they're owned by stables that are total diehards and grinding. So you're not seeing the results of leveling, but they're there. Like, it's definitely more beneficial to level a horse that's already good, right? Our horses are becoming better, that's for sure, right?
Yeah, and it is really all relative when it comes to leveling too. Like if you're only racing the same 11 horses and they're leveling up at the same speed, for the most part, you're going to see the same results. But you look at a horse like Festus, who by nature of leveling started way lower, so it doesn't need as much XP to keep leveling up. As the gap closes between like Festus and the top marathoners, you see him starting to take these flames and win equity that it simply didn't have 30 levels ago, because Festus has gone up 30 levels and the beasts have only gone up 15 or 20. So as that gap closes and that kind of we converge to the level 700 in game, you're going to see that more and more. So I think a lot of people, A, don't feel it because they're not leveling up enough, or B, they're leveling up the same or even slower than the competition, so it feels like it. But anyone who's kind of a front runner, I guess, who has the lead in XP realizes how important it is and how much they have to keep grinding to keep that. Otherwise, you're going to lose all expected value, really.
Right. I mean, there are people out there that legitimately don't think that it does anything, which is, it's like the flat earthers of
It is.
Zed.
And most of those types don't play anymore. They're very passive, or they're certainly not leveling their horses enough.
Yeah, or they've got 5 horses that weren't special horses, right? And they haven't leveled them enough, right? A little bit more passive, right? So it's understandable, right? Like you're not seeing any difference, so 1+1=2, right? Versus if you look at it as a whole, it makes a huge difference in these variance horses. It's just the rate that you're doing it, and the opportunities to race these horses are limited, which the tide is shifting on that now with these upcoming tournaments and these paid XP tournaments. Like when volume increases, when horses start to age, then you'll really see the impact of leveling these other horses that maybe weren't top end, right?
Mm-hmm.
In theory.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. We got to get to that stage, and that a lot of that revolves around user growth. So we've had many episodes on that, but it is a problem for right now due to the current meta and current structure. But if we can scale it, then things do work out a little differently.
And then the other conversation on XP here too is it's like people, they want to race for ETH, right? That's why these $140,000 worth of tournaments is such a exciting thing for a lot of people. They want to race for ETH. They don't want to race for XP. But I'm trying to reprogram and condition myself to look at XP with monetary value, because that's what's coming. We don't know what it's going to be worth. It might be 1 XP might be worth 0.0000001 cents. But if you're racking up, a million XP a month or something like that, it really does add up and should have monetary value when the ecosystem and the game loop is complete, right?
Yeah, I'm so intrigued to see that play out, where like you are going to have, like on one hand, like XP is worthless, so it's going to be super small. But on the other hand, like it actually does have value, where you can apply it to your horse, it gets better and it increases the ROI. So there is going to be an equilibrium there, where it is going to have value, and then you're going to have these stables making a good chunk of money off of just farming XP. Because I mean, there would be a level, like if it was 0.00001, we would buy as much as we could and just layer it on all the horses, because get them to 700 and then they're gonna print. So there is a price where it's going to have a value. So I'm super curious to see what that number is and how it plays out, because it's kind of hard. I haven't spent the time to project what I even think that might be. Maybe that's a different show as we get closer to it. And then you have like the ZED token sync, along with it, which people definitely are not thinking about. That will be another interesting dynamic. And as soon as you have a sync, you can start layering in ZED token as a prize, things like that. So it could get fun here shortly. We'll see if we can make it there. It could get fun in the next couple of months.
Yeah,
more fun, I'd say. I'm having fun right now.
Right. If we can hold sentiment and not scare off every single new user that comes into the game with
I think we'll be good for the next 2 weeks. Like that, people love free money, so this will feel like old ZED for a couple of times. You might even have some 3.0 truthers popping out, and then we'll see how in a couple weeks, once that free money dries up, where we're at. But it should be a fun couple of weeks for sure.
Now, if we compare this with some improvements in the communication department and roadmaps and all that kind of stuff, now we're talking. But okay, enough on all that stuff, Kevin. We got to spin the wheel. We're going to give away. So we had a terrible maiden, really, relative to the last one anyway. I think we ended up with 0.06 winnings, you said. So that's pretty rough relative to how much we invested in these horses. It
was a tough one, too, because we qualified pretty well. And then they just all decided to sleep during the tournament and then didn't cash in much. But I mean, like I say, when we lose, ZED kind of wins because that's spreading the wealth a little more. So it happens. I think we're batting about 500 for these. We tend to have a big one and then have a dud shortly thereafter.
So 20% of that is 0.12 Ethereum, which right now is what, like $20 or something like that. So I'm going to guess that the winner of this raffle, we had 17 entries in the raffle, 6 of them from our auction that we live streamed, and then another 11 horses that we sold, a lot of them on that live stream as well. So I'm going to guess they're going to take us up on this horse here that we're going to offer as an option. It's coming from, let's see, I lost my window here. Coming from Dank Phantom Peak, which was from Dank Phantom, and I don't remember exactly all the bloodlines going into this, but there's a lot of Ready Set Boom and Rendezvous Peak and Breathless Edge in this bloodline. Yeah, so it's an elite cult. We had a list. This is probably listed quite a bit high. I think it's been listed for over a month. I don't know. What do you think this horse is like legitimately worth now? Like 0.05 or something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking 0.05. I mean, all, like 3.0 values all sort of like doubled just now in terms of these tournaments coming out. So probably 0.05. You're hoping for a class 3 roll or even like class of top 4 as an elite. But I mean, you're getting that DP, which if it has a really good chance of maxing out the marathon DP with all that lineage. So good alignment, good breeding. So hopefully you can hit a good level and either do well in a maiden or do well in these next few weeks in the 3.0 tournaments.
Yeah, unless I had a ton of 3.0s, if I won this, I think I would unwrap it and just have some fun for these next 14 tournaments.
Yeah.
All right, let's spin the wheel, Kevin. Good luck to everybody. A couple of you got 2 entries in here, so good luck. We will spin it. Kingpin. I thought Warhorse was taking home another one.
Oh man, that would have been something. Congrats Kingpin.
Yeah, we'll send that over. All right, Kevin.
Any collusion that wasn't he on the Danshan Spaces with you?
He was, yes.
Do we need to be worried about anything there? Any inside jobs?
I mean, him and I did agree a lot.
Yeah. Congrats, Kingpin. Well deserved.
All right, let's talk about this new stable. It's if you've seen it running out there, I think we got 7 horses in it right now.
What'd you call it? Just like literally 1 ETH stable, right?
Yeah, 1 ETH stable. Let's see if I can find it here. Stable 1 ETH stable. All right, Kevin. So here's the 1 ETH stable. So the premise here, again, we're starting with 1 Ethereum. Ethereum was a little bit higher when we started buying these horses. And actually, I've got a spreadsheet I can pull up on the screen too with the prices that we paid for them and all that. So we did go a little bit over the 1 Ethereum budget, but we can do that because this is our show. I think it's like
around, right?
Yeah, it was like 1.05 or something. We ended up buying 1 more at the end that just seemed too cheap.
And so, you put, like, in the description, you put $2,000 budget, so we can just freeze ETH at the 1900 it's at now, and it was a $2,000 budget. There you go.
Yeah. So how this started, the first horse that I was like up late and I saw that Scenic Stables posted on Twitter that he was looking at doing a raffle for one of his horses named Great Hedge. He said, would anybody participate if I sold raffle entries at like 0.025 Ethereum for Great Hedge? I pull Great Hedge up and maybe we'll do kind of a Z sim of each of these horses. But Great Hedge had some nice variants, and I was like, man, this horse is worth more than 0.25 in my opinion. So I pulled the horse up and I saw that he had listed it for 0.21 like an hour before that. And then I think some people had interest in, participating in the raffle, so he delisted it. Anyway, let's see, Great Hedge. I ended up putting a bid in there for 0.26. I figured I'll give him another 0.01 on top of what he'd get from the raffle. He immediately accepted it. So bought Great Hedge. I messaged you about it. You're like, oh, I bought it from the stable with my brother, actually, because that was what I had up on my phone, and that was where I bid from. And you're like, oh, you can just keep it with your brother. That's a great price, though. And I was like, well, my brother's not even, he's like kind of checked out on ZED right now. He's been busy in real life. I've been kind of quasi-managing that stable. Ended up running it a little bit. And then, I think the next horse that came up was Glorious Penguin, Galactic's horse. He had listed for 0.45. Ended up buying that for 0.4. And then Hedging Duke, I noticed, was listed for 0.19. And these all looked like really good deals to me. So we started talking about it more. I was like, this would be a fun show. Like, they don't necessarily have a great place in our stable, right? But somebody should be buying these at this price, right?
Yeah, for content, if nonetheless.
Yeah, so we decided it would be good content. Let's pull up Great Hedge first and get your take on this horse, because essentially it has very close to, this is a 2.0 horse, and it has very close to like the ceiling for variants of a 2.0 horse, right?
I think it's close to it. As you pull it up, you can either do previous races or you can do like simulate custom. I think it's a 2.0, but it comps pretty well to our super breed, super seed. So it has a little more DP, but in terms of that amount of variance that you can see from 2.0 and 3.0s, it is like 95th percentile. It's up there. And we use ZSim primarily to establish that amongst like looking at some charts. But in terms of our key metric, it is that variance number on ZSim.
Who else do you want in this race? I'll put Hedging Duke in too. And
I want to do Glorious Penguin.
Yeah,
that's the true like nuts variance if you want, and that's why I think of these, that's the one that had a place in the main stable if we wanted it, and also why it was the most expensive. But to no surprise with those parents, like that is like the nuts in terms of variance.
Any other horses?
2000.
Would you say 2018?
Yeah, one of the two. That's good.
Let's do 18. Okay. So here we can see these all have a pretty nice sample, right? Hedging Duke has the least at 191, but that's pretty much enough to know what these horses are, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's plenty.
So you can see Glorious Penguin, 8.8 on the variance. Like maybe you can get to 9 in 2.0 with a super breed, but I mean, I guess we see Super Seed is only 7.5, and that was a super breed coming from Diamonds, right?
Right. Yeah. So that I think that anytime you approach 9, especially with some distance preference, like Great Hedge has, I think you could run this again for 2000. I think you'll see similar trends. You might lose some volume for some of the others, but Great Hedge is more marathon skewed. So as you kind of increase the distance, you'll see it start to perform better and better up here. So yeah, 7.6, still strong, best of that group in a small sample. And it'll mean less and less because the samples are going to go down. But I think Great Hedge is probably 2,000, 2,200 as the optimal distance, whereas Glorious Penguin, that's another key when you're building a stable like this, is you don't want too much overlap. Just with current volumes, it's nice if you just have like a good horse in every type of race, not 3 good horses that are the exact same type of horse. So I think thinking about that, it is a little difficult because there's so many good mids in 2.0, 3.0 with variance. But that's something to keep in mind if you're starting a stable and trying to do something similar to this.
Yeah, so I think like Hedging Duke can run 18, and it seems like it's a little bit untested at 2000. Glorious Penguin can do 16, 18, and then Great Hedge you can get a little bit longer with it. Yeah, 2022, maybe even 24 as it levels up. So I added Dank Phantom in here too, Kevin, so you can see Dank Phantom's only an 8.4, and this is at 2000. So Dank Phantom's got a little bit more distance preference, probably, right?
Yeah, and like Dank Phantom was arguably the best 2.0 breed on the marathon side. I know Felicity Force is up there as well, but from a variant side, like that once again is close to the nuts in terms of that 8.4 that they allow in 2.0, 3.0. So you got Great Hedge, same or roughly the same level. Comp's okay to Dank Phantom, and I think the Dank Phantom price, if you talked about it, it'd be like 5+ to buy that. So suddenly you see the 0.26, and it seems like decent value.
Well, and Dank Phantom has been lagging a little bit in the leveling up, and Great Hedge had a really nice paid XP tournament, jump from like 605. I guess for context too here on Great Hedge, just to add a little bit more to the reason that I think Scenic was selling, it was at 600, and it only had like 1 or 2 races left in that segment. Nothing over 601. There was I don't know if paid XP tournaments were announced yet, or if we just didn't know like how they were really gonna look.
I think they were announced, but it was like, I mean, you assumed it was going to be underwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah, like everything, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of like the edge of the abyss, right? What's going to happen with this horse? How is it going to allow? Like we know it would look good at 700. How is it going to get there when it's this far behind all of these horses that are in, the 620s and 630s? And we really were fortunate to do well in that like first or second XP tournament. And that's the other thing about these paid XP tournaments is like once you get over 600 in class 1, the lowest price point is $7.50 for a race, right? Some of these paid XP tournaments were $2.50 entries, so you could donate $7.50, maybe get lucky, maybe win a little bit of money with that chance. I mean, even if you don't, you're paying $2.50 for some XP. It's not the worst, and you have a little bit of fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think depending on the tournament format, you can use a couple of your other horses too to help like subsidize that, right? Like if you're gonna have negative ROI, at least according to ZSum, it's nice to do like what WAGMI does, to be frank, in double ups, where you can like level up a few of your like 2 or 3 lower level horses because you have the best 3 horses in the race who are going to benefit from that as well as the other horses. So you can kind of subsidize your stable a little bit that way. And I think, yeah, for the top 3s or even the double ups, XP paid tournaments, as long as it's not like a huge amount of money, you can do that and you get lucky. And all of a sudden, like it doesn't take a ton for a horse like that to become relevant. Like if it did that again and got to like 620, suddenly you can run in a lot of the paids.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit of a long-term angle, I guess, on this stable. Like Hedging Duke, it had a little bit of runway left at the top of that 670, 575 to 600 segment. Glorious Penguin is very close, 598. Hedging Duke is 597. So there was a little bit of room to get a little bit of return on those purchase prices at the top of those segments immediately, right? And then a little bit of an unknown, but we bought Hedging Duke and Glorious Penguin after we saw, there's actually a path to get into the upper levels of class 1 without getting totally destroyed by the monsters, right?
Yeah, and like at the same time, you don't have to, you can be patient with it because there is aging. So you can try to run it optimally in terms of getting to 700 the fastest or the most efficiently with XP without losing or donating as much money as well. So that's where these XP tournaments just play really well. So you can be patient with it. Just do the $2 one. And you'll lose a little bit in the short term, but if you hit it big, like we did for that last tournament, I mean, it could be relevant quickly and get to 700. I don't know, a couple months, maybe with a few races left, at least on like Aging 2, you would think. And then it can really start to print.
And you can take a look at Hedging Duke here, Kevin. Really nice at 1,800. Felicity Force only has 11 races. I added Felicity Force in too, but winning this race against these other, well, we'll call them 4 nice horses at 1,800, 19% of the time. That's a big sample. So I think Hedging Duke was a really good price at 0.19.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got the prices here. So yeah, the other two, let's see, the other three horses. So we got 6 horses total. Actually, we got 8 horses total now because I bred 2 as well. So to run through Pink Gala and I Am Superman, Iceberg Jake listed a bunch of horses, super cheap. And if you're not following Jake, you should on Twitter because occasionally he'll just fire sell a bunch of his horses because he's got way too many, and he's happy to help out some smaller stables and give them up cheap. These two were both Phantom Pacer 2.0 offspring. So we know that the natural baseability in those is pretty high. The reason, I mean, the breeding value in these two, I think it was probably like 3 ETH worth of stud fees that went into these 2 horses. And I bought them for 0.167 total. Pink Gala is a female. I Am Superman is a male and a Sabo. So the idea behind these two was, let's have a little bit of fun breeding with this stable too. Not going to get too crazy. Going to try to keep it trim. We don't need a ton more horses, right? And I don't think anybody that's building a new stable should be looking at, just bringing in a mass number of horses because it takes time to manage all of these, and you want the game to be fun. You don't want it to feel like a job. So went small here, and then this is another female legendary. So the idea here is we got a legendary Sabo here coming from Phantom Pacer that I think was like level 530 or something to start. Can get the Sabo in-house stud fee, which is going to cost like 0.025 Ethereum for each breed. Then we got 1 female and 2 female here that we can breed at that price cheap. This one was only 0.04 and it was like level 555. Looks like a nice double up horse, Dean's Sunday Morning. So Going Alone was one that I bred for this previous maiden that ran from Pink Gala and I Am Superman, and it ended up winning like $100 in the maiden. Ended up at the top of class 3. So that's the first one that we bred. And then also Great Hedge was ready to breed, and Boom Tune was in stud at 0.07. So that's the Sabo minimum for kind of a monster genesis. A lot of variance from Boom Tune. So I did Great Hedge with that one at 0.07. And that one is sitting unraced, waiting for, I don't know, I guess we could consider running it, like you said, for all these 3.0 races coming up, huh?
Yeah, not a bad idea.
That's going
to
to
be
be
fun
a
to get this stable some skin in the game for that.
Yeah.
Or some more skin because most of the assets are 2.0s.
It'll have Going Alone and Dean's Sunday Morning for the double ups. But yeah, maybe we'll do that. Why not? Because then we can breed a couple more from these 3 cheap. So I think that is the kind of the overview here. We got 3 nice cornerstone pieces that have some uncertainty. They're going to be kind of dependent on these paid XP tournaments in the near term. Like I was just asking you today, what should I do with Great Hedge? Because it's over 6 sites at 613 now, I think, and there's just not a lot of places for it to run on a day like today when it's like a $25 winner take all paid XP tournament. And then the free XP tournaments, even they're I think it's boxed out on those. And like, do we even want to waste limited races for a horse that we think is really good on free XP races? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We can chat about that. Yeah, in a way, when you started this before we knew the 140K thing was happening, you're kind of doing this challenge on hard mode, where like this is kind of like doing it without the free money. If we were trying to do this challenge right now, if I were a new stable coming in, the recommendation would absolutely be let's look for 3.0s, buy them ASAP for these upcoming tournaments, and you can get a lot of good deals, right? Like I'd be interested even just to track the 0.25 or whatever we just spent, and see what kind of ROI we get in 2 weeks there, because I bet it would outperform the crap out of this in the short term. So maybe we could update the group on that too. But yeah, I don't want them to take like, this is not, with the light of recent news, this would not be the optimal way to start a stable, but it is like long game centered, a good educated way to start it and do it on a budget.
Well, I mentioned this on Dan Chan Spaces, but I am a little bit more of a long-term builder. You look more short-term. You want to see that return, and I mean, you're smarter. Like it works for you. You're much better at that, analyzing the value and flipping and building in that way. So this stable is probably not going to be anywhere near successful as it would have been if you were the one like piloting it. But yeah, I don't know. I still think like if I were starting it today and I had the option to buy these horses or the 3.0s that are out there, like, yeah, I guess Zed is signaling they want it to be a 3.0 game, right? And so I guess maybe that is the better long-term angle. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say.
See, I would take those signals. I think you're spot on with that. Play the game they're putting in front of you right now before the market catches up. I still think there's some good buys out there. And then if you can pay off your investment fast enough, then you can always like pivot into a different meta. Because what's going to happen with 2.0s is they're going to see all the money going to 3.0s. It's going to catch on that all the value is there. Then you might get even better deals on these 2.0 types. So while you're raking it in with the 3.0s that you bought undervalued, you can then reinvest later with 2.0s at an even more of a discount, right? Like nothing's happening right now to boost up the value of 2.0. So I don't think you're going to miss out on these deals unless it's just like an egregious snipe, like maybe some of them have been. But bigger picture, I don't think there's a ton of money flowing in 2.0s or even 1.0s at this point because they've signaled they're going to be subsidizing 3.0 quite a bit with these tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely one of my questions for you. If you would have built it any different, and if there were alternate strategies. So we kind of got to that quicker. Yeah, I mean, I think the alternate strategy of building around 3.0s based on this $140,000 2-week tournament slate definitely viable. But I mean, we looked through all of the class 1 3.0s. They're going to get beaten up pretty good by the ones that have leveled up, right? So like,
right.
I like to play at the top. That's what's fun to me. So like, I think that the angle that you're talking about, right, is looking at class 2, 3, and 4 3.0s versus like there's definitely some good ones in class 1, but they're going to take some leveling. You're not going to get that immediate return. And you're thinking short term, like build this stable with 1 ETH around class 2, 3, 4, underappreciated 3.0s, make your return back really quick, and then find the next opportunity. That's the way that your mind thinks, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd go class 3, class 2, make it 390 plus or 490 plus, filter on that. And then, I mean, it's possible you throw some darts and they don't hit in these next 2 weeks, but it's also possible that if you're making educated buys that you're going to 3-4x your money in 2 weeks, right? So that upside's there, and I think it's a lot more weighted that direction than the downside. And like as we talk through this, maybe we'll go shopping a little more. But I think that is absolutely anytime there's this much free money, like it's not priced in there. It's just absolutely not at all. Zed's a very slow moving market in a lot of ways, and then once it moves quickly, and then people don't sell. But sentiment's down, and I don't think it's properly adjusting. And people forget they have horses listed all the time, right? So I think there's still buys to be had out there if you wanted to go that route. But yeah, you built the stable before that 140K was announced, right? Like you could not have known about that. So that's all I meant by saying like this is on hard mode because we built it 2.0-ish without knowing that free money was coming in.
Yeah, and the value, we still saw the value there even at that without any free money coming anywhere in the ecosystem, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, there's value in these horses for breeding the 3.0s too, really cheap. Like this breeding pair for 0.167, the ability to pop out one of these that's going alone, potentially at the top of class 3 every single cycle. Like there's breeding value alone right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why you want to get, if you could almost think about it like from the breeding angle of don't buy all stallions, right? I think I remember early days Zed you would go because you can make three breeds on the male side a month. So you would buy 1 male and then 3 females. So that's a case if you wanted to align like distance preference and get a lot of variance, go something more that ratio or at a minimum like 1-to-1. Because that's the other thing. Like, if you're not breeding in house, there's very few 2.0s that get touched in the stud right now, unfortunately. But when you're in house, like it's way more affordable to just go at min and then get that 55% discount. and throw some darts in a maiden. And if you have good alignment and you can do them all in-house, then that is another revenue stream.
Yeah, agreed. So Kevin, let's talk about more risks with this strategy that I've taken here. We've already talked about it, like hitting 601, super dependent on the opportunities that Zed, how creative they're able to get with, paid XP tournaments or other options for us to level these 3 good horses that we've got once they're over. But I think the other item that I want to talk about is because we have to have our weekly tangent about breeding 3.0 and potential fixes to it. I mean, we're talking about these variance numbers being close to the, or potentially, like you said, with Glorious Penguin 8.8, possibly the absolute ceiling for variance for a 2.0 or 3.0 breed. I mean, our solution to really all the problems in the game, I won't say all of them, but to get us going in the right direction, paired with communication, is to, I think you continue to talk about it in terms of changing the levels of established variance horses. I'm think of it more, and I talked about this on Dan Chan Spaces, of allowing us to breed higher level variants, right? So like you said, they're kind of two sides to the same coin. Either way could work, right?
Yeah, it's just, does Zed feel better reevaluating the level formula and just retroactively changing starting level, which would change current level, or do they feel better re-engineering breeding to boost up distance preference and variance? I think distance preference as well, but you got to be careful with distance preference because the way levels are created, there's a law of diminishing returns where you get there and then like it not only diminishes, but it actually goes negative once you exceed a certain amount. So I see what you're saying about variance being the easy one to adjust, because it does seem like they built the level formula around the current distance preference caps. So maybe I should talk myself out of changing distance preference unless they do the level. But ideally, you revamp one or the other. I don't know which would be easier from an engineering standpoint, or you just, I don't know. We've talked theoretically about like why there's even these like caps that don't match 1.0. I know a lot of that came from breeding 2.0 because it's the same, which was engineered by John Lee. But John Lee had this thought of incentivizing burning or things like that, and you get catalysts. So shout out to Junin for that. I know he loves when we say catalyst. And it's very real that he may have put these caps on there so you could then boost using a catalyst of sorts to the 1.0 levels, right? Like it's probably, I would almost say probable that was the case, but he was let go so abruptly that vision was probably not shared. And here we're left with this seemingly like misaligned breeding dilemma.
Yeah, the reason that I think increasing variance solves all the Zed world's problems is because the community, they're stuck up on this breeding 3.0, right? It's nobody's letting it go. So I think by tweaking that and allowing us to be able to breed monster horses, maybe not 1.0 level, maybe at 1.0 level, I'm open to whatever, but I think that you signal to the community like, yeah, we're listening. We appreciate you guys. We value you. We're not just building this game for our future 100,000
Right.
Players, which is what a lot of people feel like, and understandable because they're not acknowledging the viewpoints of the community and what the community continues to say they want. Like, from what I can see, I mean, people don't always know what they want, but I think what people want is the ability to breed monster horses. And like, even if you don't mess with the levels and give us the ability to breed a level 600 out of the gates, if you breed a diamonds type variants or stoneflower type variants, Ducky Malin type variants, this horse is going to be a killer in its segment. It's going to dominate. And right now, like, yeah, you can hit that cap of variance in breeding 3.0 and get a Glorious Penguin. That horse is not dominating, right? It's a good horse, but you're not like, the excitement isn't there of like, holy shit, this horse is winning 40% of the time in paid races against horses of similar level. How good is this thing? We don't know. We got to level it up and find out what it looks like against the 620s, right? That's what's missing from the game.
And that's like what 1.0 did so well. And people, I think, misremember how often it happened because it was like super infrequent. And there's so many cons to 1.0. But like one of the best stories in the history of Zed was when Evergreen like got diamonds, first horse, and like it is that instant killer. And like he marketed it well and publicized it well and built a brand on it. And like that was such a like fun story and fun time in Zed. And that gave people like the carrot and the relatable piece of like, yeah, he just had whatever 0.5 or what he paid for it, maybe 1 ETH. And at that time, that was like the floor for Z2 legendaries. And he just literally hit the lotto, and it's immediately making him an ETH plus every single month. And that just doesn't exist. It's much more of a daunting endeavor to start these days.
Yeah, and it creates that carrot. Now, to build onto why I think that this is a great solution, the other issue with breeding 3.0 that has been talked to death, right, is that the death of value in base ability, right? These Genesis Nakamoto's and even legendary, like the high value 2.0s that had starting levels in like the 560s or something like that. They had tons of breeding value, and it was just stripped away overnight with zero communication up front, right? So if you boost the value, if you boost the ability to breed variants and somehow incorporate in that value to base ability in that tweaked breeding algorithm, suddenly you're bringing value back to these Genesis Nakamoto's and this trait base ability that was totally raped by breeding 3.0. And it's like, you don't have to bring anything close to what it was, the value of base ability. It was overboard, but find a happy medium. Listen to the community. They're saying like this wasn't right. It really wasn't right to do to flip the game on its head and rug owners of these high base ability horses in all these ways that breeding 3.0 and racing 2.0 kind of did in tandem. So if you can just tweak the breeding algorithm, let us breed variance monsters, somehow incorporate a base ability value in there in a way that doesn't concentrate power again, right? Like, I don't want to come across as totally self-interested. We have a lot of high base ability horses, sure. Like I'm trying to be like self-aware and understand how other people can hear what I'm talking about. Like there can be a major random component in this as well. Like it could be like you have to hit this random super breed to get the max levels, you know? It's like there's just got to be some sort of happy medium between where we were, where we are now, listen to the community, understand like what is going to make this game loop like fun and engaging and addictive again. And I think it's that variance piece. And when you do that, you can somehow fold back in a little bit more value to these base ability horses, right?
Yeah, and what would be cool? I just thought of this. I have no idea. It's probably very half baked. But what if they're super set on still not juicing starting level significantly, and they like the leveling aspect of not having an immediate killer? What if they could somehow incorporate, like within the leveling XP formula, the amount of base ability a horse has? Like we know every time you level up, you get more base ability. So a horse that suddenly has max base ability from its parents, instead of it taking 500,000 XP to go to level 700, it starts at the same level, but instead of 500K, it's like 100K. So you level up much faster because you have better base ability. Maybe you train faster, as they say it. And that would, in effect, be a base ability boost because you could make it relevant, make it strong in base ability faster. Right? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I don't know, just thought about it.
It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know that it solves like the problem with breeding 3.0 and racing 2.0 together, right? If we look back at breeding 2.0, you bred these killers like Felicity Force and Dang Phantom because they had base ability, right? So like you could breed killers, base ability killers that had the variance cap. Now because all horses are eventually going to have very high base ability, right, as they level. I guess it's hard to know without knowing what horses really look like at 700, right? Are the base ability horses like, is a Dank Phantom going to be a monster because it has way more base ability at that variance level compared to we don't know what Evergreen Gates is going to look like at 700. So does it like kind of, do they become comparable? Like right now, it doesn't seem like it, right? In our minds,
I'd be shocked if
right?
I think the variance component is still just not weighted in the formula, but that's like a different aspect of like
Well,
the weighting of components.
yeah, but that's not a different conversation because like what you're saying doesn't reweight it. So like you're just accelerating the same thing. Like
It's basically the same way to if people say like, all right, base ability you should have the opportunity to breed a level 620 if they hit that base ability cap. And then Facundo and team are saying, no, we don't want that. A middle ground would be, all right, you still breed the 550 or whatever it would have popped out, which is in today's terms a really good outcome. But you compromise by saying, but it's going to get to 700 twice as fast because it has max base ability.
Yeah, I just think it's solving the wrong issue because to me the issue is like those horses just aren't dominant, right? Like that they need that extra shade, even if it's just the ability to get 10% more variance. Like then you have an exciting dominant horse. Like I think people that want higher starting levels are misguided in that request. I think what they really want is the ability to breed a great horse, and I don't think a higher starting level is necessarily a great horse because this is base ability that doesn't have that much value. You need the higher variance to get a great horse. That's the way that I'm looking at it. So
yeah,
like
this would be done in tandem with the variance buff or returning variance to normal. I'm just once again just spitballing. I hadn't even thought about this before.
that's what the show's
5 months
for.
ago. Yeah. Sure, we'll
We
get
haven't
picked
thought
apart
about
in the comments, but an idea if the team's watching. I don't know if you've thought about it. You probably have. But yeah, I think base ability, like you've been saying, is not as nearly as valuable as it has been. It'll only get less valuable as people can buy XP, and all the XP basically layers on base ability. So something that probably needs to be addressed. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but it's definitely an issue.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this there's just not just one way, and just want to know that they're thinking about it and acknowledge like why people aren't happy with the game right now, like at its core, right? Because people will complain about all these different things, but I'm not sure that they really understand what it is that they want. And that to me, that's what it is. People just want the ability to breed a monster horse, and that just doesn't exist in the game anymore. Like you've been identifying, and it's like we got to keep saying it in different ways because eventually I think it clicks. You know?
I mean, the issue right now is like so much of that went out the window when they introduced leveling. It's only going to get worse as the average horse in the ecosystem, the level goes up. Like it's going to be virtually impossible because you think about 1.0, you can think about in level terms what we now know. Like you had Diamonds, who was like a level 525, but that 525 was only going up in the mid funnel of horses that were like 560 and below. So now those 560s in like a couple months, they're going to be 700s. The only way that's going to be the Diamonds effect is if Diamonds can pop out with that variance at level like 675. Like it's so difficult to do that. So do you make it where you can breed a level 700 out of the box? That sounds like very different from the vision they have. So you maybe have to segment by age, where you have horses run first 3 months of their life in a different class. So you can kind of curtail like how far gone the leveled up horses are. So a newly bred horse can be competitive or beastly against them. It's touching it. Like it's tough, very tough.
Yeah, I think age segmentation is part of the vision. I gotta assume, right? Like I assume that there's going to be age segmented races, and you would think that
I don't know. I haven't seen a roadmap.
right. Another one of the communication issues. Yeah. So anyway, where I started this conversation was a major risk of this stable is that they listen to these suggestions because any change in Zed, this is the problem. Like somebody gets nerfed, right? Like small tweaks have massive impacts. So got to acknowledge if they do what I'm suggesting and what you think is a good idea, these 2.0 and 3.0 horses do get hurt, right? But they don't have a whole lot of value now anyway, I guess is the way that I see it. Like I'm okay sacrificing these horses that weren't the cornerstones of the game. Genesis were the cornerstones, right? These horses, like if you increase the ability to breed more variants from tomorrow on, these horses that were at the max that we see as having a lot of value right now, suddenly their value goes down. Suddenly the value of our 1.0s go down, right? Because they're no longer as rare. But
they should go down.
It's for the greater good, right? That like this is what people want from the game. They want that excitement. They want that ability to breed a champion racehorse that is actually dominant for its time at the top, right? And we can't do that right now. These 3.0s that we're breeding right now, they're good horses. They're just not that exciting, like, wow, this is an absolute killer and it's going to be a blast to own and run for 6 months, right?
Yep. And I think that's effectively what they're doing with 3.0 only races, right? Like 3.0 has been out for, I don't know, 6 months. So you basically have created a 6 month or younger tournament. I think it doesn't need to stay 3.0. Like it can for certain bigger events, but it can also just stay as like the last 3 months or the last 1 month. And at least like it's almost like an extended maiden, right? Like if you breed a beast or a super breed, they truly are dominant, or if they had the large enough sample, they would be dominant in a maiden format. I think you saw that one just totally clean up. I can't remember the name, but this last maiden just totally cleaned up. It was like level 570. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if you did that for a month, that horse would actually feel like a dominant horse, and then it would have to go and graduate to the older divisions and not be as dominant. But at least you'd have that time in the sun, which right now you have 2 days for a maiden or 1 day for a maiden.
Well, see, I think I disagree. Like the 3.0, if we just got rid of all 1.0s, all Genesis, all 2.0s even, and this was just a 3.0 game, right? I think we still have a major issue here. Not as big, but we're already conditioned on what we think a champion racehorse is, what is exciting. And that's having a horse that can win. Let's say we bred a Diamonds today at level 520, right? This horse is going to come out and absolutely destroy for however many races it wouldn't be that many, right? From 520 to 526, but it would crush that segment. And then from 526 to 550, it would destroy it. We're talking like 35% win rate higher in paid races, right? That doesn't exist in 3.0. Like you can breed using Z-Sim terms here, an 8.8 variance. What is that going to win? 25% of the time? It's just not quite as fun and exciting, right? So like you don't have that ability to breed the variance killer. And we're already anchored. The community that exists is anchored to what is a champion racehorse, right? That just doesn't exist in 3.0 because of the variance cap. That's what we're saying, right?
Possible. I mean, yeah, the argument against is like that is a broken system, and a champion racehorse should be 25%, and you'll see that when they race against each other. But yeah, that's once again reprogramming an entire community is difficult. So I don't know. I see both sides of it. I think you need balance, like anything, right? And I think they're starting to do that with this 3.0 only tournament because they've noticed like 1.0s and even some 2.0s have been dominating the meta for the last few months. So they're throwing a bone back to like really what their income comes from right now is breeding. So you want to incentivize the 3.0s so you're incentivized to breed more, and you can kind of self-fund this whole thing.
Well, and you need a happy community to bring in new users, which is where the real income starts coming once you scale.
They underestimated the heck out of that. If you're thinking about like institutional oversights, I think they underestimated how sour things would get and how impossible it is to onboard into a community as toxic as ZED.Run has been for the last couple months.
Yeah. So you got to find that balance between whatever their vision is and what the community wants, and it has to be kind of a give and take. And so, yeah, if it's not the ability to breed Diamonds level variants, but a shade below that, I think it works. I see both sides for sure. I always do. I'm just trying to bring solutions that I think will make the community happy and make the game work. Doesn't necessarily need to be our solution, but let's get the ball rolling, right?
Yes, I mean, yeah. Think of ideas. As long as these discussions are happening, like I think that is the start. Right? You have discussions, you pick a path forward, and then you get the engineers that can actually implement these changes. I think that's been a challenge as well with how lean ZED is running. So that is like a different question. But like get a roadmap, get a path forward, and then work on actually doing the job and getting it to that point in reality.
Agreed. All right. We went long on the show, Kevin, but that's That's what happens when we start talking about fixing Zed.
Yeah, and do it on a weekend when I don't have to get back to work. So.
All right. Well, I will let you go practice some more golf, and we can talk more about our 1 ETH stable. Everybody follow along with the 1 ETH stable. It's just called 1 ETH stable right here. We'll see what kind of luck we can have. Hopefully it's profitable.
Yeah, good win rate so far. So keep that up.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Follow Kevin out on Twitter at Arbitrage Racing. I'm at ZED Diamond Hands. Oh, should we should give away a horse, right? If somebody made it an hour and 6 minutes into the show and is still listening, let's see. Let's just say leave a comment with the name of your favorite horse on our YouTube show. Not horse on the show. The name of your favorite horse. Leave it in the comments of YouTube on this show, and drop your wallet address in there as well. And then we'll pick one of those comments on next week's show, and you'll get a free horse. Sound good, Kevin?
If you want to throw in like a Kentucky Derby bet or your favorite bet, I'm all for that as well. I know that's coming up next week, right?
Oh yeah, let's nix my idea. Favorite Kentucky Derby bet, absolutely. Yeah, maybe we'll just pick
do something. I don't know if we can legally do this, so maybe not. But I'll have to talk with my people and see if we can reward someone with picking the right horse or something like that.
Yeah. Well, either way, one of you that puts your favorite Kentucky Derby bet into the comments will be selected for a free horse. Maybe we can reward if somebody hits like a trifecta or something like that. Yeah, we'll have to do something special. But also drop your wallet address so I don't have to contact you or anything like that. I can just send the horse over. All right. Good show, Kevin. Always a blast talking about this stuff. I will talk to you next week, man.
All right. Have a good one.
Later.